I'll give you guys a quick update on because from the very first meeting, Shauna was there. Let me just share my screen here. Shauna was there, and there we go. Should hopefully be able to check it out. There we go. All right, let me know if you can see my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So if anybody else joins in, great. If not, we'll go through recap relatively quickly and maybe regroup and find another way of promoting this in the future. So I wanted to share like some success stories with you guys, and I just want to make this a little bit larger if it's possible, just so I can see more people. Whatever. I found some nice imagery of what people are likely doing right now in these crisis situations. They're probably sitting at home, bored out of their minds on their phones. It's like, there's an opportunity there that we really need to think about. So I asked Shauna for some specifics, and she's like, she said her average sales value has gone up. It went from, at this time last year, it was $90 a transaction to $125 a transaction. So like that's almost 50%. It's an almost 50% increase in transaction value. So she's been putting up prices over the last year, but then also finding other opportunities, other things to sell, larger things to sell, plants and things, as we discussed from the previous call. So year over year revenue is actually marginally up. So that Facebook Live and Instagram Live, she actually ended up doing them. And there are some videos here, and here are the like corresponding amounts of views. So 2 weeks ago, she did one 939 views. Last week, she did one 614 views. She sold out almost her entire inventory the first time around. So she's now actually taking pre-orders for things, and she went down to Vancouver to see her supplier to pick up more things. So it's like, yeah, of course people are buying stuff, because now they're at home, they're forced to sit there and think about what things can I spend money on. The other one was, she focused on new in-demand products. So the plants thing is working really well. So that was like a really good pivot. I'm not sure if Cam and Amanda, you guys remember, we talked about the different kinds of consumers and what they're likely to be focused, like what they're likely to purchase. And we identified like the health aspect, like clean air. So yeah, she's doing a ton of that. So that's going really well. And then the other part was just the Facebook and like the messaging on the website. So we had updated that. So COVID-19 update, here's this information. So in case there's anybody else who watches this video in the future, make sure like have that kind of messaging and make it perfectly clear when you go to your website that, hey, we're still open for business. You can still call us. You can still reach us. You can still get things. And here's why we're safe. So yeah, I think she did a fantastic job of that. Hold on, let me just open the chat here. Okay.
I was talking to, so last week, well, on Thursday, I think, I was talking to an illustrator out of States, and he came up with a really good point. It's like everyone's putting out a pretty generic, like, COVID-19 message, don't worry, we're still alive, don't worry, we're still here, which is kind of like, it's almost like being lectured to, and it's almost like reading like the back of a textbook. It's very bland, and everyone kind of knows what that statement's going to be. And he made a good point that creatives could use their talent to make something that's friendlier and more interesting, because it's the same as Lex when she teaches grade 3. She doesn't just give them one lesson. She actually breaks it up to the individuals and how they like to learn. So if you saw like a kind of out of the box like illustration with like COVID-19 updates, or like a fun video that kind of showed what people are doing, I bet you that would garner someone's attention way more than just the casual like newsletter or casual message that people are now used to seeing.
For sure. So this is something directly from the consumer behavior textbook and lectures. Here's the thought. What do we pay attention to? Like, we're inundated. We get exposed to about 3,600 different ads every single day. think about the overwhelming amount of stuff we're trying to pay attention to. So what ends up happening is to make our brains not melt down, we come up with what are called heuristics or shortcuts. So we look at something, it's like, okay, this is familiar. We're not going to really pay attention to it or read it or absorb it. So whenever your update, so you're 100% right. Whenever that update looks exactly like everybody else's update, you're not likely to read it. So it has to be different, stand out, so we actually pay attention to it, because then there's actually a chance that we'll remember and absorb it. So yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for design. And internally, and this is, I guess Nick and Amanda are going to get a little bit of insight. We've been trying to push our project managers to leverage you guys more and more, the design team, to actually like design these new and novel things, because that's what makes sense.
And how can we lead with that? Like not everything's okay, but like this is where we're at, and this is what we still have. Like something that adds that positive message, not just like our closed, but we're still doing delivery. Yeah, a lot of people are still doing delivery. What's the kind of like unique aspect to Shauna, say, that she's offering that no one else is? Like those live auctions. It's like, that's pretty new. If she had a huge banner being like, our doors are closed, but we're doing live auctions, it's like her holding up like plants, all excited. That would be something that you're bored at home, like no one's doing shit. So it's like, that would be exciting for someone to see, like, oh, sweet, she's doing something during this time, not just sitting back and waiting for something to happen for her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was actually trying to find an image of Shauna, like in front of her counter holding flower or something right before this. Tina's like, just grab it from the live. But I'm like, yeah, having imagery or having something that's like, here's perfectly clear. Yeah, here's what's happening that you can take advantage of. So yeah, I fully agree. So in that case, look, if we have nobody else here, it's just the four of us, let's come up with 2 or 3 different strategies that any business could do right now that would actually make sense for businesses to employ. When I had the conversation with Shauna, she mentioned, she's like, use social media, use Facebook, use Instagram, do the lives. And I think that's actually a really good set of steps or really good instruction. So I'm just going to make some notes here. Hold on. And maybe even just share this as opposed to doing that. Let's do this right. Okay, actually here, let's do it this way. I'll share my screen and let's make like, yeah, a list of 3 or 4 things that are indeed actually working right now. There we go. So let me know when you can see my screen. Yep, perfect. So what's working today? Perfect. Okay, so Instagram and Facebook Live. Spelling it right would help. It's Facebook Live auctions/events. Cool. Okay, so your suggestion, and I think it's actually a really good one, is using language and imagery that's captivating, right?
Yeah, and like dig into your brand. What does your brand represent? And actually dig into your branding and your brand voice and your brand imagery, so you can like make it more unique to you and unique to the personas you've already figured out. There's no use figuring out these personas if you're then going to go resort back to doing the same message everyone else did.
Absolutely. Hold on, let me, it's home right here. Oh, did I just close it? Oh, lovely. No, you're absolutely right. And I think most people kind of like, I think most people are panicking right now because they have no idea what to do. So rather than defaulting back to going after what's working, they're struggling and trying to figure out something new and different and whatever.
Yeah, it's almost like the quick fix. It's like trying to put the Band-Aid on while everyone else is too. It's like you see everyone else pushing out this message, so you almost feel like you're left out or you're behind if you don't put out the exact same message as everyone else is. But I've had like 25 to like 50 emails in my like inbox from every single business I've ever given my email to with the same letter being like, hey, COVID's happening. It's like, well, no shit.
It's called the bandwagon effect. So if everyone else is doing it, then that must mean that it's important and that I should do it too.
I agree. That's how it was when this all started going down, like between like the 13th and the 20th of March. I got so many emails from every business. I swear somebody must have just copied and pasted it, because like Lululemon, Tim Hortons, everybody was like, hey guys, we realize this is happening. Here's what we're doing to ensure safe measures. And it was always about like it was a play-by-play of sanitizing everything, keeping people apart, stuff like that. Like it literally, I probably pull up 5 emails that all look the exact same down to the word.
So here's a thought. Like, I think part of it is almost required that we do still need to have some of that messaging, right? Because there is there's a lot to be said for keeping up with the competition and providing parity, right? And I think that still needs to happen, but we also need to take the next step of, okay, what else are we going to do? So in that case I should say, do not only use the same template everybody else is using. Add to it. It's like, okay, here's the next step. Here's the next product. Here's the next service. Here's the next. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. One other one to add on there is that, like, one thing that kind of we're working on at train station, everything, is when people are at home, not everybody can occupy their time or knows how to occupy their time. So now we're kind of working on ways to, I don't know, excite your time at home and like stray away from boredom. So giving people things to do, but without overcomplicating it. Like we're doing a bring home, make your own flatbread kit. So you can go home and, I mean, it's not pizza, but you can build your own flatbread, and it takes up an hour of your time, and you know, it just switches up things so that you're not bored, or because not everybody can, you know, keep productive.
Yeah. Huh. I had a conversation this morning with a guy. I told him that I've been getting into making bread, and he's like, you know what? That's actually, I'm going to take up a cooking hobby too. So yeah, something like that. People are exploring these kinds of things. So it's like, what can we give them to help enable that next step or become the provider for that next?
People want to learn. They're interested in enhancing their skills. Like Cam just spent the weekend learning Webflow. Did not need to do that, but he felt inclined to do it because he feels like now he needs to brush up on his skills because the market's changing. So we don't know what's going to happen. So I need to learn. I need to change.
Yeah.
There's a difference between alive time and dead time. Like everyone can go through Netflix. Like that can only take you so far. So where is an area in your market, in your industry that could be adapted on? Where is like an avenue that could be pulled on right now? And I think you're right, Amanda. There's a lot of like take-home dinners and like cooking courses and like little things that people can just add to their life, where it's helping them fill this boredom time, and it's helping them re-excite their life while they're stuck at home. Like there's only so much to do. It's like a dog being stuck inside. Like there's only so many times that you can like play with the same toy, right? So like, how can you make something exciting when you can't change their environment? It's bring something into their environment that's exciting.
Yeah. Like even my friend owns Born to Shake, which is like a cocktail and service company. And they used to do little, like at Rustic Reel, they do little workshops on how to make like a certain cocktail. Now they're doing at-home kits where they'll send it home, and then they give you the little card and the how-to. And I think they've done a couple videos of like how to make the old-fashioned and how to make their cocktails that they've created or branded. And then it just makes you feel like you're doing something fun or occupying your time at least.
Strangely, you're not the first person to mention Rustic Reel today. I've had a conversation with somebody else, and they're like, they're doing these kinds of kits, and that's what we did for dinner over the weekend. I'm like, or it was a turkey dinner of some sort. It's like, here's like here's this opportunity to think a little bit differently about the audience, and they did that. So yeah, I like that. Your favorite drink, dinner item, or recipe from the restaurant? You may not want to give away, you don't want to necessarily give away your secret sauce, but figure out what people are actually looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. We've had Pierce join us. Pierce, welcome back, sir.
How's it going?
Good. We're actually just going through doing actually just from the very first call we did a couple weeks or three weeks ago. I was just reporting back some success. But I'd love to actually hear what you ended up doing as well. And then we're actually going to go through and come up with some strategies that universally should work.
Cool.
What, how did things go, or how are things going? What did you guys do?
We're in the midst of developing some content and doing something similar to this, but with the economic development team in Billings, Montana, working with them. But our big push is basically putting together a playbook for small businesses, retailers, restaurants, things like that, actionable items that they can use, paired with a 30-minute kind of discovery strategy call to just kind of as a gift to the community.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just we're going through some ideas. We've got a nice small group, so we're like, okay, what's working? Well, I'll quickly just go back for Passion of Blooms, which is they've actually managed to increase their average sale value. Their year-over-year revenue is up. So a traditional brick and mortar business, and they're like Instagram lives, Facebook engaged. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening. So I want this to be almost like a step-by-step guide for what businesses should do afterwards, to be like, okay, here's what I need to do to overcome the negative effects of this COVID epidemic. So yeah, use Facebook and Instagram lives to create events. I'll get rid of auctions, but I'll just put actually events. Make sure you use language and imagery that captures attention. How many times have you received the same COVID-19 update, Pierce? The email from Dropbox, from your bank, from Facebook, from whoever else. It's like, okay, use something different.
I can almost recite it now.
I think we all can. So okay, so in that case, let's imagine I'm wondering, let's imagine that we're a business of some sort. I think maybe like a trade, because I think there's a lot of like local businesses that will likely see some of this. Like what can someone that traditionally does on the boots on the ground kind of work, what can they put out? What could they do to inform their audience about what they're doing? I'll just put this out to everybody.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, I don't want to get down the line of like creating too much content because there is so much DIY stuff. So if you're in the trade, like a lot of what you're able to do is construct things, and then on the other end is teach people how to construct things. But there is an app that I saw, and I think I sent it to you and Tina, where you at-home consults through a video call, and they can actually mark up the call with like, hey, look here, with like their pencil and stuff. So it's kind of an interesting way of still being able to do a certain level of consults.
Yeah, Tina, you've got an opinion here.
I was just thinking about something. Did you guys see my rant on Facebook about liquor stores being open? It wasn't really a rant. It was more of a statement. And I had like 85 like posts on it in like 24 hours. It was insane.
People love the liquor.
Where that stemmed from, it was really annoying because Will spent like 3.5 hours at Rona on Saturday, and I was pissed. I'm like, you're supposed to go for half an hour. Like, why the hell is Rona open? And I started getting really upset because then I realized alcohol stores are open, like beer and wine stores, and all these places, they're considered an essential service. And then I talked to Will, and he's like, well, Rona is an essential service because because people need to build things. They need food and shelter. So I think it could be based around like the narrative of what you're saying. So like, for example, garden stores are open because, and Adrian said this yesterday, because it's an essential service because people need to feel like they can feed themselves. So I think it's like the messaging behind it. That could be something. I don't know.
And there's still like, I know with Rona, we were talking about the same thing the other day because we went there for house paint, and we anywhere we go, it's early in the morning, right when they open, so there's no lineup. When we left, there was a huge lineup, and Troy had said that there's still contracting companies that go to Rona for all their supplies, and technically they're still having to work for whatever reason, or if they're essential or whatever they're building. So then Rona has to stay open, like kind of like a chain reaction a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree. It's long.
Well, and not to get political, I think that there's, from a higher governmental level, there's part of keeping people happy while things are going crazy. And, you know, I don't know, it's the same here. Liquor stores are open. The marijuana shops are still open. And it's kind of like, people are already ticked. And if you really want to see things go south, start closing those.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, I don't think it's necessarily like drawing people's ire, like, or how, like, getting people upset. I think it's actually making them fear what's coming next. Like, it's not necessarily depriving them of liquor, because even alcoholics will be able to survive without liquor. But it's the fear of, okay, if they're going to take this away, what's the next thing that they're going to take away? And that's going to cause more hoarding and likely more kind of weird behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Tina was mentioning something as far as like people licking elevator buttons and spitting on things. Like, that's one of those weird kind of corner cases that here, I'll share my screen again. There we go.
Yeah, people got crazy when I posted that. It was like, people were like, well, I need to have my drink. Like, I look after my kids all day. I need to have my alcohol. Like, you're absolutely right. They fear it's going to be taken away because we're already grounded. You can't take away my other fun now.
That's right. It's that's really funny. I'm a stay-at-home parent. I need my mommy juice is probably, oh, that's too funny. But I think understanding what's happening in consumers' minds is also a key to finding those next opportunities. So if people are afraid of that, like, I wanted to pull up the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So when I was chatting with Tina about like, why are certain things open, why are certain things closed? Because there's an argument for a lot of these businesses that it's like, it is one of those base needs, right? Food. So for Rona, you could make the argument that's very much like a shelter argument, right? For restaurants, it's food. For like, and I think even for psychological needs, or maybe even the safety needs, like that's probably where alcohol fits in. Like for some people, it is a crutch. It is this thing. So it's like, okay, so knowing that, if you're a restaurant, you could potentially deliver drinks. You can deliver meals with alcohol, right? It's just, we now have to think about that very, very differently. So going back to like a plumber or an electrician, right? We're no longer, I think you're right, Cam. I don't think we should necessarily be looking at, okay, what things could they start teaching people? It's what parts of their business should now they be promoting to people to say, okay, hey, you should now be more concerned about your water heater, because if that goes down, like that's a problem. So maybe there's a maintenance thing you need to do. Maybe there's like, so I think that there's just refocusing on the specific market that is likely to respond.
Yeah, well, people are doing renovations now too, right? Because now they're stuck at home and it's like, oh, I need, like, how many of you have been painting your house? I know Cam, you have, and Amanda, you have. I know we're like building the deck now because like we need to stay there. So that could be an area that they focus on. It's like home renovations.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So it's now just like trying to find those things. So if you're going to do a home renovation, you're likely going to need some sort of electrician to come in, or some sort of plumber to come in and run something. It's like, okay, so how now do we find, or how do we plant that idea? I'm just going to go back to this right here. That is, so I often talk about marketing when we do marketing, and if we really simplify it in one of two ways. One is going to be a reactive approach, and one is a proactive approach. So a reactive approach, I talk about this in the sense of Google AdWords. People already know what they want. They're just looking for it. They need to, okay, where is the nearest pizza place? Where's the nearest sushi place? Where's the nearest hardware store? Where's the next dentist who does emergency hot water tank replacement? People do a search and you want to come up. But the other part is being proactive and actually suggesting to people some of these ideas. So if they're not thinking about renovations, maybe they should be. Mm-hmm. And here's why. And as we talked about with Shauna from Passionate Blooms, talk about plants because they're a healthy thing that provides fresh air, because you need fresh air when you're at home working, and you need a clean environment, and plants are shown to increase productivity.
And also, if you leverage the digital, it's like, as a plumber, yes, there's things that only you know how to do, and it's not smart, nor is it like, are you able to like teach someone how to like replace an entire furnace or what have you? But there could be smaller things that you could go jump on a call with and walk someone through, like changing a part of their toilet or doing whatever. So instead of the larger calls that you might be getting $200 for, you could do little $50 calls. So you're still keeping busy and you're doing these smaller jobs that you still can do from afar without needing your hands actually on the item. Okay, and also planning, helping people plan.
I'm going to push that one. Because I think in there is a really, really good idea for what every other business could be doing. So, if you're going to teach people to do something, what's the net effect that you want out of it? What's the next step that you want them to do? And how can you be involved in that next step?
Well, you want to teach someone to do something, but you want it to be complicated enough that eventually they would need you. So if you're replacing one bit, it's like, I can get you to here, and then when I'm able to come into your house, then I can finish the job. So it's like, if you're doing a full bathroom renovation, here are the things that you can have prepped. And then if they're able to safely go into your house, they can set up a call to be like, I'll be in and out. And since you've prepped everything, all I need to do is come in, do this, leave, and I will be out of your space. Or that can be done when things start to open up again. But this is how far you can go with just me walking you through it.
Okay, so I fully agree. I think it's being able to teach people to diagnose that there's a problem and give them the 2 or 3 steps. It's like, okay, go into your furnace, pull out your filter. If it's filthy, you'll need a new filter. Conveniently, here's a link to the Amazon affiliate link, or the component that you can buy from us directly. And I think that's the next, you can actually create this online sales thing, like e-commerce opportunity, or just say, okay, the next step is actually to schedule an appointment because there clearly is a problem.
Yeah, so we're going through the sales funnel right now, right? It's basically what we're doing.
Kind of like the digital sales funnel. I'll pull this up on the screen as well. But kind of. But we're trying to find new and different ways. Whereas before, you would essentially sit by the phone as a plumber waiting for someone to call in to replace something. Now it's like we're giving them information to self-diagnose some of the issues that they're seeing, and then becoming the default source for the solution. So in a way, yes, definitely.
It kind of seems like this could be a possible, it's almost like teletrades, like how telemedicine's becoming like this new big thing, or maybe not new, but being pushed quite a bit right now. When you have an issue, like my furnace has been out for months and we've just been running off the wood stove because I don't want to pay someone $200 to come out here and look at it. Right. But if I could pay someone $50 to hop on FaceTime and tell me what the problem is, then someone doesn't have to drive out here and I don't have to pay a bunch of money. They can get more calls in a day, and the consumer is saving cash at the end of the day. So there's a possible win-win situation there too.
I fully agree. All right, hold on. Let me. I'm just.
A great idea.
Okay, so here, how can I just summarize that into a single line, because I'm trying to make a note, like kind of this
consulting.
Is that the way you describe it, Pierce?
Yeah, I think so. Or yeah, that works for me.
Perfect. Hold on. Here we go. So okay.
Consulting, but a less fancy word because it's a plumber.
For sure. Okay, so there's telemedicine. Maybe there's now teleplumbing or remote plumbing, FaceTime plumbing. Remote
house calls. They're like, yeah.
House call. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, perfect.
Everyone's about the house party app, so this could be like the trades house call app.
Actually, I think that's the group event, right? So we talked about what Shauna ended up doing, but creating these kinds of Facebook Live events. It's like, okay, learn more about how to, I don't know, like, or ask questions of essentially what we're trying to do here too, right? It's like make ourselves available for people to come in and join in. So I wanted to pull up the digital sales funnel because I think that this is like essentially like, let's make people aware that we now have these different kinds of opportunities or the different kinds, and then get them down the funnel, but then essentially help them identify and diagnose a problem that you are uniquely prepared to solve. Cool. All right. In that case, I think we've got a pretty good set of steps here that we can get people to follow. Is there anything else that we want to add to it? What else like sticks out? What else have you guys seen that's actually been working well?
I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but I live in a fairly small community. We don't have like a lot, there's maybe 20 businesses, public-facing businesses in the area. Mm-hmm. But all of the retailers are closed right now, and what they've been doing on like the community Facebook page is auctions. So they're basically putting together like little grab bags or like Easter baskets and things like that, and then they'll say like, this is going live at 9 or whatever, let people bid for a little bit, kind of give the value, the retail value of the basket. And some baskets go slightly under retail, some go slightly over, but it's a way for the community to stay involved and kind of help businesses through. For sure. Some sort of business event. We're involved in what's the gala called? It's the
Stay-at-home gala.
There we go, stay-at-home gala. I'm trying to remember the visual. Yeah, the stay-at-home gala. Like creating these kinds of like, I'm just trying to tie back the auctions thing to kind of a larger idea, but like essentially creating a brand new kind of event that people can partake in. Because going back, I stopped sharing my screen. It's the image of someone sitting at home bored out of their skull. Like, what are they doing? I'm going to share another image because I thought it was, we may not get to it. So I just want to make sure that, there we go. Hold on. There we go. I think people will land in one of two places. They're preparing for the zombie apocalypse, wearing their masks or potentially making their own masks, or they're just bored stiff at home, looking for things to do, looking for things to entertain themselves. This weekend we saw, we joined in on a Twitch DJ event. Like they're doing this out of their homes. And I think I thought that was one that we could have probably they could have done a little bit more with it. There were two DJs who played 2 sets. The first one was so well branded. He's like, this is DJ, I think Freddie or something like that. Here's his like social media. Here's his website. The next one was fully unbranded, nothing there. And we're like, it's so good to be able to see that difference between between approaches.
I think you touched on something that's kind of interesting, where it's like there's people that will be prepping, or there's people that aren't. And I was listening to a podcast where a guy was saying that he's from the South. He's like all into hunting and fishing and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But his wife would never allow him to have a gun in the house. And then when the chaos hit, the first thing she said, she turned to him and she's like, "How do we get a gun?" So it's like people are going against their nature from before and now looking to be preppers to a certain degree. So it's how could you help them prepare? Because this will, things will eventually open back up, but people will now have a different state of mind. They'll want to be more self-sufficient. They'll want to be more prepared in case something like this happens again. So is it setting them up with, like Sean is trying to do, like get them interested in gardening so they can start making their own food? Is there certain things they can be putting in place that your trade or your business could utilize, even to the degree that like us in marketing, it's like people didn't know that they needed to be digital until this went down, because they're like, oh, I get 90% of my traffic from walk off the street and traditional media. Well, this all went to shit, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I guess I don't have that anymore. So it's how can you make people see that they need to be more prepared for anything in the future, not just for where they are now?
Oh, Will,
No, I sorry. I really like where you're going with it. Essentially, yeah. Not necessarily tap into some of that fear, but start helping people see that there's a solution to some of that fear. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did like a Google Trends. You know what? Actually, let's see if we can do this, because I have a feeling that this is one of those.
Can you share your screen and do that with us? I'd love to see what you're gonna do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm on Google Trends right now, and I was just searching how to start a garden.
Oh yeah, that one spiked.
Like
We looked at that one too. When we were strategizing with Shauna, that's exactly what we did.
So, okay, so let's go over to exactly Google Trends. There we go. Here, I'm going to close down the other things that I have open. So
have you seen this before, Amanda?
Oh yeah, we've been looking up. I don't know. I look up random things, and then Troy's actually been looking up a cannabis company, how to open a cannabis company, and I showed him this for like looking up keywords and seeing how much it's gone up, but it hasn't really. But yeah, I find it fun to look at.
Like even think of like rain barrels, or like wood, or like generators, like things that people would just like, oh, what if things got worse? What would I need for the next 6 months, or what have you?
Okay, here's something like, so yeah, how to start a garden. I went, let me just, hold on. Let's see if we can get rid of this one. Where did it go? There we go. What Google Trends does is actually allows you to, there we go. Allows you to compare different terms. So I'm comparing completely unlike terms. So I'm going to get rid of how to get a gun. So Pierce's search, you can see like it went from, kind of hovering at the same kind of 20% or 20 score area up to 100 on how to start a garden. How to get a gun. That one was interesting. There we go. Right as COVID was happening, like there you go. So I think, how can we empathize, and how can we start thinking like someone who will be afraid for their future? Like, how do we almost like, I feel people become preppers because they're afraid of the long-term kind of like worst case scenario. So how do we tie in to the worst case scenario for, let's say, for a plumber or an electrician, how to stop a hot water tank leak? Oh, no, clearly not. Anyway, what else? Yeah. Essentially, I think it's thinking about what is the worst case scenario.
How to install a bidet.
Oh, that's actually a good one.
That's perfect.
Also, that is how you spell a bidet.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm impressed you knew how to spell that.
That's hilarious.
There you go, right? Because now people are like, well, what if I run out of toilet paper? And now toilet paper is again readily available. So I have a feeling how to make my own vodka. So this, yeah, won't likely trend in here, but I wonder if worldwide, no, never mind. Okay. How to make my own alcohol. How to create, build my own still. There we go.
Yeah, like beer making kits, wine making kits probably went up for sure.
Yeah. How to make my own beer. Okay. Not necessarily, but there you go. So yeah, that's, is there, Pierce, as you were looking through Google Trends, do you use any other tools to find these kinds of trends?
I'll follow some like trending hashtags on social media.
Okay.
Kind of see what's increased over time, but that's more just from a personal interest perspective.
Okay. I'm just I'm gonna put there we go. I'll make this a resource here for anybody afterwards. Yeah, we can take a look later on and see if there are other resources that we could be using. I had shared different ones in the past. I know Cam, you had shared another one in previous sessions.
Yeah, it was called Exploding Trends, I believe.
Yeah, it was, yeah, explodingtopics.com. So there we go. Yeah, I'll pull that one up as well. There we go. So Tina, any other suggestions for let's see here.
I keep seeing, like, do you guys ever get those posts on like Facebook from like your parents, and they're like, share this post and you'll be kissed by an angel? I feel like those are going around a lot right now.
Like some sort of chain letters then.
Chain letter, yeah.
Oh.
Chain letters seem to be like, they go in waves, and especially when things are hard. It's like, pray for, like, if there's an earthquake, pray for New Zealand or something, you know, what I mean? Or when the wildfires hit. Yeah,
or if there's like any kind of like, yeah, I remember at the Humboldt, there was like or Sandy Hook or whatever else. Like there's always like people who are there. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Okay. I mean, I think at this point, I don't want to dwell on this, but I think we have some really good steps that we could share in general to be like, okay, here's what you should do if faced with a continuing downward trend. So let's just refine it and make it maybe a step-by-step guide for what people ought to be doing next. There we go. Okay, so I guess, should I say Instagram Live? So learn to use Instagram, Facebook Live events.
And I think it's more than that. I think anyone that was strictly brick and mortar or strictly traditional media just needs to understand that digital isn't that scary.
Okay. Digital is not. Okay. Is not scary. I like it. Cool. Okay. There we go. Here you can do not use the same. Let's just go with same COVID. -19 email template everyone is using. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Using language imagery that captures there we go. Cool. Use language imagery that captures attention. Think about your ideal customer. Like Cam, you mentioned like think about user personas. I think that's a good thing to think about there. Okay. give people something to do. Make your own flatbread, learn Webflow. I'm not sure if that's necessarily like business advice. Give people something to do. Host an online event. There we go. Stay top of mind.
And just connect people, right? Like everyone's looking for that connection. I've seen so many people posting to Facebook, especially those that are single and kind of live by themselves right now, just the lack of human connection and how that's kind of affecting them mentally. So any chance that you can give people the opportunity to connect, I think they'll be better off mentally as well. And that'll be pushed out physically, right? Like you're not going to want to go and move your body and exercise or do anything if you're feeling mentally drained because of the lack of connection. I
agree. Okay. So create how-to videos to make your favorite drink. A recipe from a restaurant. A way of informing people of services and products that are still available. Okay, perfect. Create a playbook for your clients as a gift. That was just, yeah, Pierce's idea. Create content that draws debate and gets people talking. Tina's method. Get under people's skin. Is that true? Yeah.
I love it. It's so fun.
Proactive versus reactive marketing. Give people ideas of what they could be doing. Cool. Teach people to diagnose a problem you can solve. Remote FaceTime house calls. Cool. Is there any change?
Break down your offering. Like I think people are still thinking that things will eventually go back to normal. They never will go fully back to normal. So break down everything you offer. Almost make yourself like a brain list. Just like brain dump everything that you offer and how that affects everyone. So yeah. What is still active right now and what you could be pulling on as like a thread of idea.
Never go back to how they were before.
And that's a good thing.
Oh, I like the way you said that. Okay, perfect.
Hey, Will, can you send me the points on that slide? I'm going to make a post about it.
Yep, definitely. I'll share this. I'll actually share this in the group as well right away. So there we go. Cool. All right. Next week we will. So we'll share this. Tina will come up with some content for it. If you guys could come back next week, that'd be fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone.
I have a recommendation, and I don't know if you guys want to try this or not, but I'd love to pick like either one of our clients or actually like find somebody who really needs help, have them come on here and be our guest, and actually go through a strategy with them, like what we did for Shauna.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it'd be great to diagnose someone's actual problem instead of us making assumptions about their industry, because no one knows their pain points better than them. So I think that'd be awesome.
Sure. Okay. In that case, yeah, let's put that out even later after this. Looking for volunteers. So I'll put that onto LinkedIn. I'll put that onto my Facebook and my Instagram.
Pierce can cover the American market.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
Awesome. All right. Well, in that case, let's break it here. Yeah, come back next time. And if you want to invite other people, please absolutely do. And we'll spend more than a couple hours that give people more than just an hour or two of lead time next time as well.
Thanks, Will. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, Pierce. Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Cam. Thanks, Tina.